Good evening, everyone. Let me start by asking you this: what is your greatest regret? Think about it just for a moment. Is it something you said, something you did, or maybe something you didn't do? Now, let me ask you another question. What if you could live the rest of your life without adding a single new regret to that list? Regret is a strange thing, isn't it? It's a whisper in the quiet hours, reminding us of the times we let fear win, when we let time slip away, or when we silence the voice in our hearts. But here's the truth: regret isn't just a burden we carry. It's also one of the greatest teachers we'll ever have if we're willing to listen. Tonight, I want to share with you the 5 big regrets that haunt so many people. These aren't just my ideas or observations, they're universal truths, gathered from countless conversations, studies, and reflections. And as we go through each one, I'll give you the tools to ensure these regrets never hold you back again. But here's the catch: you've got to stay with me until the end. Why? Because the most powerful insight, the one that can change everything, comes in the final regret. Miss that, and you miss the key to living with more joy, purpose, and courage. Regret is a universal experience, something we all encounter at some point in our lives. It's the weight we feel when we look back on decisions we wish we'd made differently. It's the voice in our minds that reminds us of missed opportunities, the risks we didn't take, or the words we didn't say. But here's the paradox: regret is not just something to avoid. It's one of life's greatest teachers. Most people don't want to experience regret. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, and it's often a stark reminder of our vulnerabilities. But what if we could change our perspective on regret? What if, instead of seeing it as an enemy, we saw it as a guide, something that can actually point us to the areas in our lives that are most important? Regret, in its purest form, teaches us about our values, our priorities, and the things we truly care about. It's through the lens of regret that we realize what we want to do differently in the future. Think about it. The regrets that we carry around are often tied to moments when we didn't live authentically. Perhaps we didn't follow our passions, we didn't speak up when we had the chance, or we allowed fear to dictate our actions. Regret becomes a mirror that reflects the parts of ourselves we neglected or ignored. It asks us, what is it that you truly desire? What will you do differently next time? In fact, the most powerful insights often emerge from the deepest regrets. When we reflect on those moments where we wish we could turn back time, we're given an opportunity to grow. Every regret offers us a chance to course correct, to change our mindset, and to make new decisions based on a clearer understanding of what really matters to us. Regret is a reminder that we're human and that living a fully realized life is hard. We're bound to make mistakes, we're bound to face disappointment. But each regret is an invitation to learn from those moments, not dwell on them. It's a nudge to do better, to be braver, to take more risks, to love more deeply, and to live with intention. And here's the kicker: when we start viewing regret as a teacher, we stop allowing it to control us. Instead of letting it rob us of our peace, we begin to see it as the spark for change. We start taking more action, making bolder decisions, and ultimately leading lives with fewer regrets to carry. So the question isn't, how can I avoid regret? The real question is, what lessons can I take from my regrets today to make tomorrow better? If we stop running from regret, we unlock its true power, and that's when we begin to transform our lives in ways we never thought possible. This shift in perspective, viewing regret as a teacher rather than a burden, is one of the first steps in living a more meaningful, fulfilled life. Let your regrets show you where you've been, but don't let them define where you're going. Each lesson learned from regret becomes an opportunity for growth, and that growth ultimately shapes the legacy you leave behind. So as you listen to the rest of this talk, think about your own regrets. What are they teaching you? What can they inspire you to do next? Because the more you understand the lessons in your regrets, the more empowered you become to live a life free from unnecessary remorse. The 5 big regrets that I'm about to share with you are not unique to any one person. They are universal truths that apply to all of us, regardless of age, background, or circumstance. These regrets, though deeply personal to each individual, tend to be shared by people across cultures, communities, and generations. It's a remarkable thing when you think about it. Human beings, in all of our diversity, seem to regret the same things. This suggests that these regrets are not just incidental, they speak to something deeper within us, something fundamental about the way we approach life and the choices we make. Take a moment and reflect on your own life. Have you ever wondered if you're on the right path or questioned whether you're making the right choices? Most people have moments like these, especially when they encounter setbacks or when things don't turn out the way they'd hoped. It's at these times that regrets often emerge. They don't arrive with the intention of making us feel bad or guilty, but rather to show us something we might have missed, an opportunity to do things differently or to focus on what really matters. These 5 big regrets are not only a reflection of missed opportunities or mistakes, they also highlight the deeper desires we all have. For instance, one of the most common regrets is not having spent enough time with loved ones or not having followed our true passions. People regret not expressing themselves more honestly or not pursuing their dreams when they had the chance. These regrets aren't tied to things we did, but rather to things we didn't do. And what's fascinating is that these regrets are often experienced when people are nearing the end of their lives, reflecting on what they could have done differently. This is why I believe these regrets are so powerful they resonate with something inside all of us. They are a reflection of the choices we make or don't make, and they carry lessons that can shape our lives in profound ways. As I share these 5 regrets with you, I want you to think about your own life. Do any of these regrets sound familiar? Have you experienced any of them yourself, or do you fear you might? The most powerful part of this journey is that these regrets don't have to define you. They don't have to be a source of sorrow or regret in and of themselves. Rather, they can be a source of transformation, a call to action. When we recognize these regrets as universal, we also recognize that it's never too late to change. We have the power to shift our trajectory, to make different choices, and to live in a way that prevents these regrets from taking root in our lives. So, as we move forward, I want you to be open to this idea, no matter where you are in life, no matter how far you've come or how much you've missed, it's possible to turn things around. The regrets we carry are not chains that bind us, they are invitations to become more, to do more, and to live more fully. And if you stay with me through the rest of this talk, you will find out how to do just that. Because these 5 big regrets are more than just things we wish we'd done differently. They are the key to living a life with fewer regrets and with more meaning and purpose than we ever thought possible. When we think about the regrets we carry, one of the most striking themes that often emerges is the pain of inaction. So often, regret isn't about the things we did, but the things we didn't do, the moments when we held ourselves back from acting, from stepping forward, from embracing opportunities that were right in front of us. The truth is, the pain of inaction often lasts far longer than the pain of making a wrong decision. It lingers with us, subtly haunting us, making us ask ourselves, what if I had tried? What if I had taken the leap? How many times have you sat in silence, wondering what could have been if you had just said yes to that opportunity? How many moments have passed where you stayed silent when you should have spoken up, or held back when you could have pushed yourself further? It's easy to look back and think, if only I had done this, or taken that chance, or believed in myself a little more. The regret isn't about the missteps, it's about the missed moments, the opportunities we didn't take because of fear, uncertainty, or self-doubt. And that's where the pain lies. Think about the many times in your life when fear has kept you from taking action. Maybe it was fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of the unknown. But fear, though natural, is one of the biggest culprits in keeping us stuck. Fear convinces us to stay in our comfort zones, to avoid taking risks, and to keep our dreams and desires locked inside. Yet, as we move forward in life, the price we pay for not taking action becomes more and more apparent. The longer we avoid taking risks, the greater the regret becomes. We wake up one day and realize that the time we could have spent living with courage and conviction has been wasted. The pain of inaction isn't just about missed opportunities, it's about the person we could have become had we acted. Think of the dreams you've had, the projects you've wanted to start, the relationships you've wanted to build. Every time you held back, every time you didn't act, you didn't just miss an opportunity, you missed an opportunity to grow, to evolve, and to become the person you've always wanted to be. And that's the tragedy of inaction. It denies us the chance to become more, to challenge ourselves, and to live with the passion and purpose we all crave. But here's the good news: it's never too late to act. Regret over inaction doesn't have to define us, it can actually be the fuel for future decisions. The key is to recognize that the price of inaction is greater than the price of making a mistake. Action, even if it leads to failure, is always more valuable than the silence of inaction. Every decision we make, every step we take is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. When we allow the pain of inaction to propel us forward, we start to take risks to pursue our passions and to speak our truth. And when we act from a place of courage, we begin to live with fewer regrets. We may stumble, we may fall, but at least we will know that we lived fully, that we seized every chance, and that we weren't afraid to make the most of every moment. And that's a life worth living. Regret often teaches us that one of the most profound sources of pain in life comes from not having the courage to be true to ourselves. It's easy to live a life dictated by external expectations, where we make decisions based on what others want from us or what society says we should do. But in doing so, we often lose sight of who we really are, what we truly desire, and what aligns with our deepest values. And when we reach a point in life where we reflect on those choices, the regret of not having lived authentically becomes a sharp reminder of the cost of conformity. How many times have you chosen a path because it was what someone else wanted for you? Maybe it was the career you pursued because it seemed successful on paper, or the relationship you entered because it met societal expectations. Perhaps it was even the way you lived, conforming to a version of success that wasn't your own, simply because it was easier than embracing the discomfort of following your own heart. But over time, when we silence our inner voice and allow others' dreams to define our own, we begin to feel disconnected from our truest selves. The disappointment that follows isn't just because of the choices we made, but because those choices weren't truly ours. The truth is, when we live according to others' standards, we often trade away our own happiness and fulfillment. We invest in a version of success that doesn't bring us joy, and we suppress our own dreams in favor of what's acceptable. This may seem harmless at first, but over time it builds up regret upon regret as we realize we've neglected the things that actually matter to us. The things that could have made us come alive, the passions that we once had but buried in favor of practicality or the fear of judgment. Living authentically requires courage to pursue a path that feels right to us, even if it doesn't fit neatly into the mold society has laid out. It means having the strength to say no to expectations that don't align with our true desires, and yes to the life we know we are meant to live. It's a process of reconnecting with the deepest parts of ourselves, even when the world tells us that our dreams are too big or too unconventional. One of the greatest regrets people have as they look back on their lives is the realization that they didn't live for themselves. They spent too much time pleasing others, seeking approval, and following the rules, only to find that the life they had built wasn't the one they truly wanted. The question then becomes, what will you do now to change that? Because the truth is, we have the power to change our direction at any moment. Living authentically is not about making radical changes overnight or abandoning responsibilities. It's about making small, consistent choices that reflect who we truly are. It's about listening to that inner voice that calls us to live with purpose and integrity. And it's about finding the courage to take action, whether it's in our careers, relationships, or daily choices that aligns with our true essence. When we live authentically, regret has no place in our lives. The fear of being judged or criticized no longer holds us back, because we know that the only opinion that matters is our own. We begin to live with integrity, joy, and passion, and those who matter will see and appreciate the real us. And as we look back on our lives, the only regrets we'll have will be the moments when we didn't follow our heart's moments that we can now transform into lessons and opportunities for growth. The key to living without this kind of regret is to have the courage to live your truth, no matter what. When you choose to live authentically, you not only free yourself from regret, you create the space for your life to be filled with the joy and fulfillment that comes from being unapologetically, wonderfully you. Regret is often seen as something we simply need to avoid, but what if regret could be something more than just a painful reminder of a mistake? What if regret could be the catalyst for change, a powerful force that propels us toward the life we truly desire? One of the most profound lessons we can learn from regret is that it's never too late to transform our lives, no matter how many years have passed or how many mistakes we've made. In fact, the ability to turn regret into action is what separates those who live with purpose from those who simply drift through life. Too often, people assume that because they've made mistakes, it's too late to change. They think, I should have done this when I was younger, or I missed my chance. But here's the truth: the moment you realize that you can turn regret into action is the moment your life begins to change. No matter where you are, no matter how many years you've spent feeling stuck or making the wrong choices, there's always an opportunity to course correct. One of the greatest regrets people carry is the belief that they can't change. They feel trapped by their past decisions, convinced that the mistakes they've made will haunt them forever. But that's the trap, this belief that we are defined by our past, that the mistakes we made in our youth or the opportunities we missed earlier in life somehow lock us into a certain fate. In reality, regret can be a sign that you're ready for something more. It's a signal that the life you're living isn't fulfilling and that it's time to take action, to start making new choices that align with your true values and passions. The key to transforming regret into action lies in reframing it as a tool for growth. Instead of seeing regret as something to be ashamed of, see it as an invitation to take the next step. Regret doesn't have to keep you stuck, it can propel you forward. Every time you feel that pang of regret, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this regret to fuel positive change? Whether it's pursuing a long-held dream, mending a broken relationship, or taking a leap of faith in your career, you can use regret as the springboard for transformation. The truth is, most people who look back at their lives and wish they had done things differently often find that it wasn't the specific action they took that matters, it's the courage to act at all. The regret isn't about whether they succeeded or failed, it's about not trying in the first place. The magic happens when we finally decide to take the first step, no matter how small, and begin the process of making things right. It's never too late to become the person you want to be, and it's never too late to pursue the life you've always wanted. The longer we wait to act, the more regret we build. But the moment we take that first step toward change, we begin to rewrite the story of our lives. What's even more powerful is that you're not just changing your own life, you're setting an example for others to follow. When you take action despite your regrets, you inspire those around you to do the same. So if you're sitting there today thinking that it's too late, I challenge you to rethink that belief. It's never too late to live with intention, to make a difference, or to create the life you've always dreamed of. Every moment you spend dwelling in regret is a moment you could be using to take the first step toward change. The truth is that the most fulfilling and impactful parts of your life are still ahead of you, and regret will not be the thing that defines you. Your willingness to take action will. Transform your regret into your greatest motivator. Embrace it as the driving force that helps you take action, create new opportunities, and live with purpose. By doing so, you'll not only reduce regret in the future, you'll build a life full of meaning and fulfillment. As we explore these 5 big regrets, it's important to remember that they're not just reflections on the past, they are also a guide to a future with fewer regrets. The truth is, the most impactful lessons are often learned too late, and by the time we've realized what we should have done, the opportunity has passed. But what if you could avoid those pitfalls right now? What if by the end of this speech you could start making changes that would allow you to look back on your life with a sense of fulfillment, knowing that you lived intentionally and courageously? This is why it's crucial to stay with me until the end of this conversation. Because the final lesson I will share with you isn't just a takeaway, it's a blueprint for creating a life of fewer regrets, more joy, and greater purpose. It's something that can fundamentally shift your approach to how you live each and every day. It's easy to hear these lessons, nod along, and think that makes sense, but the real power lies in taking what you've heard and actually applying it. That's where the magic happens. In a world filled with distractions, it's easy to lose sight of the things that truly matter. We often get caught up in the daily grind, the pressure to perform, and the fear of what others might think. But when we make conscious decisions to live authentically, to pursue our dreams, and to take action, we not only avoid the pain of future regret, we begin to live a life of purpose. When you stay with me, you'll learn how to move beyond the habits and thought patterns that keep you trapped in cycles of inaction. You'll discover how to recognize the opportunities that come your way and how to seize them with courage and clarity. But it's not just about avoiding future regrets, it's about transforming your entire mindset to embrace each moment as an opportunity for growth. Imagine a future where you look back and realize you didn't let fear or uncertainty hold you back. You lived fully unapologetically and with the knowledge that each day was a gift. You created the life you wanted, not the life that was expected of you. The pain of future regret isn't something that needs to haunt you if you take the steps now to change your perspective and your actions. This is why it's so important to keep listening, to stay engaged, and to absorb the powerful insights that will help you make decisions today that will shape a future with fewer regrets. If you're feeling that nudge inside, that spark of inspiration, or the sense that something needs to change, it's a sign that this message is resonating with you. And that's where the real change begins. So I challenge you to stay until the end. Take in everything that's being shared and then take that knowledge, apply it, and start making changes today. The difference between a life filled with regret and a life filled with meaning comes down to one simple thing: action. And by making the commitment to listen and act, you're already taking the first step in ensuring that your future is one you look back on with pride. Don't let this be just another speech you hear and forget. Let this be the moment you decide that you are done with the cycle of regret, and that from this moment forward, you will begin living with intention, with courage, and with purpose.